Good morning, friends. A brand new day is here, and I'm sending you all my warmest wishes for a peaceful, happy start. I hope today brings you positive energy and good vibes. Now let's dive into the latest updates in the thrilling story of Tieu Ca and CEO Hmong. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. The drama's heating up with unexpected twists, heart-pounding suspense, and emotional moments that will keep you glued to the screen. Whether you've been following from the beginning or you're just joining us, this episode promises to be one of the most exciting yet. So grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's jump into the newest developments together. Don't forget to like, comment, and share your thoughts. I love hearing from all of you. Summer is here, and that means school's out for little Han. With no one to watch her at home, Tieu Ca had no choice but to bring her along to work. Today, the two of them headed to a newly built house where Tieu Han is overseeing renovations. Their task? Leveling the kitchen floor in preparation for laying a brand new foundation. What's especially heartwarming is just how mature little Han is, despite her young age. While her mom worked hard under the summer sun, Han didn't whine or demand attention. She sat quietly nearby, playing by herself and letting her mom focus. It's not every day you see a child so patient and understanding in such a busy, noisy environment. Watching them together is a reminder of the strong bond between mother and daughter. Tieu Ca is doing her best to juggle work and motherhood, and Han is showing support in her own sweet way. It's moments like these that make their story so relatable and inspiring, especially for working parents out there who know what it's like to bring your little one along for the ride. If you've ever had to multitask between work and parenting, you'll definitely feel this one. Stay tuned. There's more to come from the journey of Tieu Ca and Han as they take on life's challenges side by side. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. The sun filtered gently through the treetops as the quiet buzz of work blended with light laughter. In the shade of a small hillside, a young mother and her daughter were working side by side, shoveling, sorting, occasionally pausing to smile at one another or share a small joke. It wasn't an easy job, but they made it light. Their bond gave rhythm to the day. Just as the breeze picked up, rustling the leaves nearby, a familiar figure appeared over the crest of the path. It was Hungarian. He walked with a quiet confidence, his shirt slightly dusted from the morning's work at the wood shop. As he approached, his eyes landed on the little girl, and with a smile, he held out a small bag. "Hey, kiddo, look what I've got for you today," he said warmly. Little Han squealed in delight and ran over, her hands outstretched. She took the treat with a shy giggle, and the moment filled the air with quiet joy. Tieu Ca, wiping the sweat from her brow, looked up and smiled. "You just got off work?" "Yeah," Hung replied, setting down a small sack of tools. "Came straight from the wood shop. How long have you two been up here?" "Since morning. I was leveling out the soil near the kitchen. They're pouring the foundation soon." Hung glanced at the shovel nearby and the uneven ground ahead. "Tell you what," he said, rolling up his sleeves. "Why don't you and Han take a break? I'll finish this up." Tieu Ca shook her head with a smile. "It's fine, I've got it." But Hung stepped closer, his voice gentle but firm. "Hey, remember what you promised me yesterday? You said you'd let me help with the heavy stuff and take care of you two." "I meant that." There was something steady in his tone, not demanding. just kind, and something in the way he said, "You too," made her heart flutter a bit. She didn't argue further. Instead, she handed over the shovel. Hung went right to work. Each strike of the shovel into the earth was steady, purposeful. Tieu Ca sat with Han in the shade, watching him. Her gaze lingered on the man who had stepped into their lives like he belonged there. She thought about how rare it was to find someone like him, someone who didn't just offer help, but made it feel like it was the most natural thing in the world. The morning wore on, and by noon the sun was nearly overhead. The work site quieted, and Hung finally stood upright, stretching his back and wiping sweat from his brow. "It's getting close to lunch," he said, turning toward her. "Why don't you and Han come over to my place for a bit? You can rest, cool off, have something to eat." Tieu Ca hesitated for a second before answering. "Thanks, but I already told my grandma I'd bring Han over to her place today. She's expecting us." Hung nodded. "That works too. Let me give you two a ride, then I'll head up the mountain to grab the water pipes." She blinked. "The water pipes?" "Yeah," he said casually. "Thought I'd get started bringing water down to the new place for you." Tieu Ca blinked again, her throat tightening slightly. "Hung, really, thank you. You've been doing so much." He shrugged like it was nothing. "What are neighbors for?" By the time they reached her grandmother's house, a small but welcoming place nestled under an old mango tree, Han had fallen asleep in the back seat, her candy wrapper still clutched in her tiny hand. Tieu Ca stepped out and gently picked her up. Hung followed, helping her carry the few supplies she'd brought along. She turned to him at the gate. "You sure you don't want to come in for a bite?" "I'm good," he said, glancing toward the mountain in the distance. "I want to get a head start before the afternoon heat hits too hard." "Still," she said, "I hope you know how much I appreciate all of this." "I do," he said, offering a soft smile. "And I'm not going anywhere." He turned and walked back down the dirt path, the crunch of his boots fading with each step. Tieu Ca watched until he disappeared behind the trees, her heart a little fuller, her shoulders a little lighter. By late afternoon, as the sun began to dip behind the hills, Hung returned, this time with a large coil of water pipe slung over his shoulder. He didn't hesitate. With quiet determination, he began the long trek up the rugged path leading toward the mountain above Tieu Ca's new home. The trail was steep, the air heavier with each step, but Hung pressed forward. Sweat soaked through his shirt, dirt clung to his hands, and yet there wasn't a trace of complaint in his expression. His focus was simple: get the job done for her, for Han, for the quiet dream of a peaceful home he knew they both deserved. Reaching the higher ridge, he paused briefly to catch his breath. Below, the valley stretched wide and green, and somewhere in that quiet space stood the modest home Tieu Ca was slowly building piece by piece, day by day. Hung got to work, anchoring the pipe, securing it with stones and stakes, then carefully guiding it along the slope. It took him hours. By the time he reached the edge of the property, the sun had turned the sky a deep golden hue. He opened the valve and watched as fresh mountain water began to flow steadily down the pipe. It spilled out into the small trench, beside the foundation, clear, cold, and full of promise. Hung smiled to himself. The job wasn't perfect, and there was still work to do, but it was a start. More importantly, it meant Tieu Ca and little Han would soon have running water, no more carrying heavy buckets, no more walking long distances. He wiped the sweat from his brow and stood tall, quietly proud. From a distance, Tieu Ca stepped out of the unfinished doorway and saw the water glistening in the light. She raised a hand, waving toward him with a mix of surprise and gratitude in her eyes. Hung didn't wave back, not yet. He just looked at her for a moment, the way her hair caught the light, the way her child peeked out from behind her legs and felt something shift gently inside him. Then he lifted his hand, returned her wave, and walked down toward the house, the fading sun casting long shadows behind him, but not a single shadow in his heart. That evening, as the sun dipped low and golden light bathed the hills, Tieu Ca and Han returned to the new plot. Hung was there, mud-splattered and tired but smiling. The water system wasn't finished yet, but the pipeline had reached halfway. "Just a bit more to go," he said, sipping from a bottle of water. Tieu Ca looked at him, really looked at the man who showed up not just with words, but with hands ready to build, shoulders ready to carry burdens that weren't his, and a heart quietly making room for hers. She stepped forward and took the bottle from him. "Tomorrow, let me help." He looked surprised for a moment, then nodded. "Deal, but no lifting the heavy stuff." She laughed. "We'll see." As the stars began to appear one by one overhead, the three of them sat on the porch of the unfinished house. No walls yet, no roof. But somehow, in that moment, it already felt like home.
Hôm nay hãy cùng mình bước vào những diễn biến đầy cảm xúc trong câu chuyện của Tieu Ca và Hùng, nơi không chỉ có tình yêu mà còn là hành trình vượt qua khổ đau để tìm lại hạnh phúc. Chúng ta sẽ cùng lắng nghe những tiếng lòng sâu kín của Tieu Ca, hiểu rõ hơn về quá khứ đầy sóng gió của cô và cùng đón chờ những thay đổi kỳ diệu đang chờ đợi ở phía trước. Sau buổi trò chuyện với bố mẹ Hùng vào chiều hôm qua, Tieu Ca ngồi lặng một mình trong căn phòng nhỏ. Lòng cô như dịu lại sau bao ngày tháng sống trong những hoài nghi và lo sợ. Những lời nói từ tận đáy lòng của ông bà làm cô cảm thấy ấm áp vô cùng và chất chứa đầy tình yêu thương. Cô từng nghĩ rằng sẽ chẳng bao giờ có ai thực sự mở rộng vòng tay đón nhận cô như một người con gái xứng đáng. Quá khứ của Tieu Ca không tròn trịa và con đường của cô đi qua không phải lúc nào cũng trải đầy hoa. Cô từng là một người phụ nữ đơn thân, gồng mình nuôi con nhỏ, từng bị từ chối, từng bị tổn thương bởi những ánh nhìn định kiến và sự lạnh lùng của ngoài đời. Chính vì thế, khi cô đến bên Hùng, dù anh luôn dành cho cô sự quan tâm, che chở, nhưng cô vẫn luôn canh cánh trong lòng một nỗi bất an. Liệu bố mẹ anh có chấp nhận cô? Liệu cô có xứng đáng